Extracranial course and relations may, as I told you, when it enters in the parotid gland, remember this parotid gland has a superficial bigger part and a deeper smaller part. Both of them are communicated by an isthmus. And this facial nerve, when it enters the parotid gland, it splits into two branches, temporofacial and cervicofacial divisions, crossing above and below the isthmus. And this plane is called Petty's fasciovenous plane. Remember, this was important. This has to be taken care while doing parodontectomy operations because the facial nerve is embedded within this gland. So here you find is the facial nerve, the two divisions. Then from the, this temporofacial nerve, two divisions will arise, temporal branch and zygomatic branch. Then from the cervicofacial division, there will be three branches, buccal branch, and the buccal branch will split into upper and lower buccal. Both will run above and below the parotid duct. And then you have this marginal mandibular branch and you have the cervical branch. So a little bit correction you can make in this diagram that a cervical branch emerges at the apex of the parotid gland. So all of them, they are emerging at the anterior border of the parotid gland, but this one emerges from the apex of the parotid gland. Okay. There you find is this course, interparotid course of the facial nerve. So fast revision about the muscles innervates. Temporal branch will innervate the frontalis and the orbicularis oculi, right? As well as corrugator supercilii. Then zygomatic branch will innervate the, zygomaticus major, minor, depressor nisi, and levator labii superior is iliac nisi, and lower portion of orbicularis oculi. Okay. Then this buccal branch will supply elevators of the upper lip, depressor, as well as this orbicularis oris. And most important, that buccal division will also supply buccinator. Then this is the marginal mandibular branch. Important about this marginal mandibular, you can see is it's first arises from the angle of mandible. It runs along the lower border and it crosses the lower border then, and it supplies the depressors of the lower lip as well as the mentalis here. Then this, and what was the clinical point related to this marginal mandibular? Remember, while giving incisions for excision of some mandibular salivary gland, the surgeon has to take care about this nerve, marginal mandibular nerve, which was running along the lower border of the mandible, remember. Then cervical branch will run in the neck region, and probably this is the only muscle, the platysma, that this cervical branch innervates. Okay. Then the extracranial course of chorda tympani. Chorda tympani, as I told you, was emerging from the middle ear cavity through the petrotympanic fissure. Here you can see this facial nerve. This is chorda tympani from middle ear. It has come out now, petrotympanic fissure say. Now when it crosses medial to the styloid process, down below, this is trigeminal nerve. This is V3 division. This also is emerging out through foramen ovale. And then this posterior division, this branch given out from V3 is lingual nerve. So chorda tympani joins the lingual nerve just behind the angle of neck of the mandible, at the level of neck of mandible, and will now this lingual nerve will cross outside this, it will run, of course, this ligament, remember, is a sphenomandibular ligament. So it will run medial to the sphenomandibular ligament, running outside to the superior sphincter of the pharynx. Then it enters, crossing the superior constrictor of the pharynx. Then it will enter into the, on the inner surface of the jaw. More important relation, remember that lingual nerve was crossing the third molar teeth just below the third molar teeth on the inner surface of the mandible, and that was important for the clinical point that while the dentist extracting the third molar has to take care about this lingual nerve that was in very much more close relation to the third molar on the inner surface. And there you find it is now the submandibular ganglion also suspended through this nerve, and it will ultimately cross N4 nerve, N4 niche. It will cross the submandibular duct, will cross above to the nerve, and nerve will pass from below the submandibular duct to reach the muscles to the tongue. Okay. Now this diagram is a summary about the different components of the facial nerve and how it innervates and how it brings the sensations. So it's the distribution of functional components of facial nerve. So here you're seeing is, hold on, this actually irritating this. Okay, you find there are different nuclei here in the brainstem. The main, that is the motor nucleus of facial nerve. This is the motor nucleus of facial nerve. Then there it is this one is special visceral efferent. There is this lacrimeatory plus superior salivatory nucleus, right? And then yes, you have this elongated nucleus, nucleus tractus solitarius, right? Then this is this much was intraneural course. I don't know how to move this window. No. Rename, share, allot, enable waiting room. Okay. This much was the intraneural course. Then this much portion was intracranial course. And this is the internal auditory meatus. And this portion of the nerve is running in the internal acoustic meatus. When it reaches to the fundus, there is this bent called the geniculate genu, where it has this ganglion, the geniculate ganglion. This portion was running superior. This actually supramedial. This is running superior to the promontory, then supralateral, posterior to the promontory, and this is running behind the promontory in relation. This all is in relation to the medial wall of the middle ear. So first part, second part, and third part, this portion here is because you're saying is internal auditory meatus, and this is stylomastoid foramen. So from here till here, this much portion is intrapetrous course, right? And after emerging out from stylomastoid foramen, it will now give out its extracranial in its course, extracranial course. It will give its extracranial branches. Then how to remove this window? यानी तुम्हारी क्यों लगी रहती है विंडो बीच में? कुछ नहीं होता, ये हटती नहीं है. हाँ हाँ, अब क्या करें? वो तो हट ही गई, अब क्या करें? फुल स्क्रीन कर ले। ओके, अरे रुको यार, अब ये वेटिंग रूम आ गया। ओके, so another nucleus was the trigeminal nucleus, the mesencephalix, main sensory, and the spinal nucleus. So one by one we'll do all, we'll follow all the functional components. Here is special visceral efferent, right? The special visceral efferent will pass from this motor nucleus, and in this intrapetrous portion from this internal acoustic meatus till stellomastoid foramen, there were only 3 branches. One was this greater petrosal nerve, then there was this nerve to stapedius and the chorda tympani. So the 3 branches. So the first motor branch that is given out from the facial nerve in its intrapetrous course is nerve to stapedius, right? This is the nerve to stapedius, and this muscle is attached to the pyramid. Then here you seeing is, ये क्या है यार, कुछ ना कुछ तो आते ही रहता है। Okay, then this you can see is the motor fibers. These are all lower motor neurons, right? So the lower motor neurons, one it supplies the stapedius, then it emerges out to supply posteroauricular, to posterior digastric, and stylohyoid. Remember, out of these, the nerve to stylohyoid will be a longer branch because that is much away from its course. This will be a longer branch. Then it will reach its 5 terminal divisions to supply the muscles of facial expression, including the muscle of the scalp. Actually, that has already been supplied by posteroauricular nerve. Okay, so that was about special visceral efferent. Now talking about special visceral afferent. Now special visceral afferent, I told you, is about the taste sensations, and taste sensations, is being brought in from the palate as well as from the anterior to the of the tongue, except the circumvallate papillae. So from the tongue area, greater and lesser palatine nerves, right? So the palatine nerves are branches from the maxillary nerve, right? From the pterygopalatine ganglion. So you can see this is sphenopalatine ganglion. So this fibers you have seen here is special visceral afferent. Actually, special visceral afferent they have shown only here in the tongue, anterior to the tongue. Say these are the fibers, they reach here to the nucleus tractus solitarius here. And remember, these are the first order sensory neurons, so they'll have their cytons here in the geniculate ganglion. They haven't shown, but the taste sensation is being brought from the palate through the greater palatine nerves, and these fibers, without being relayed, they also will having cytons here. They will also relay in the nucleus tractus solitarius. Now, general visceral afferent. General visceral afferent. Okay? General visceral means the sensations of pain, temperature, stretch, pressure from the glands which it innervates. They will be brought in, this general visceral afferent. The dotted lines, green color, they will be brought in again to the chorda tympani, lingual nerve. Chorda tympani, the course can you see here? This is the bony canal from which it enters the middle ear cavity. This portion is in the middle ear, and this is the petrotympanic fissure through which emerges out and joins the lingual nerve. So general sensations from the glands which it innervates, those sensations also follow the course of lingual nerve, facial canal, and ultimately they will also reach to the nucleus tractus solitarius in the lower portion. and their cytons will also be lodged here in the geniculate ganglion because they are also the first order sensory neurons. Okay. Similarly, from the lacrimal gland and the mucosal glands of the palate, nasal cavity, pharynx, they'll also be brought in these sensations, general sensations, and they will be, brought to the lower portion of nucleus tractus solitarius. Then, general somatic afferents. General somatic afferents means the exteroceptive sensations, pain, temperature, pressure, vibration, from the pinna, in and around the pinna, they will be brought in through this auricular branch of facial nerve, and they will relay here in the main sensory and spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. However, the proprioceptive sensations from the muscles derived from the second branchial arch, all these proprioceptive sensations will convey along its course, will run along its course, and ultimately they will relay here they will reach in the mesencephalic nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. And remember, these will be the unipolar neurons. So they'll have the cytons here, but the cytons of posterior auricular branch of vagus, they will be again here, the geniculate ganglion. All the three afferent components, they will have their first order pseudo unipolar neurons. So they will cytons lie here in the geniculate ganglion, except the proprioceptive sensations, because they are the unipolar neurons. Their cytons will lie here in the mesencephalic nucleus. So what have you concluded now here? Look here, this concluded means then the first branch, first branch of facial nerve is greater petrosal nerve that arises from the geniculate ganglion. Second is nerve to stapedius, and third is chorda tympani. These are intracranial or intrapetrous branches. Then outside here, it will supply the muscles of the scalp, muscles of pinna. Then the two muscles will elevate the hyoid derived from the second branchial arch, and all the muscles of facial expression. This greater petrosal now, once you can see here, it is also geniculate ganglion, also is in the middle ear cavity, and it will emerge out from the hiatus of the hiatus of the greater petrosal nerve on the tegmen tympani. This is its intracranial course, and it reaches the foramen lacerum, where deep petrosal nerve joins this nerve, and then it runs in the pterygoid canal, that is called nerve of pterygoid canal or Vedian nerve. So here, these fibers were left actually. We have left with this special visceral efferent. Special visceral efferent what left is general visceral efferent. Yes, the parasympathetic outflow. So general visceral efferent they'll arise from lacrimatory and superior salivatory. So these fibers of general visceral efferent fibers, you can see here, they will follow this. These are actually preganglionic parasympathetic neurons. So they will pass through the greater petrosal nerve and the nerve to pterygoid canal called Vedian nerve. After joining the deep petrosal nerve, then these fibers will relay here in the sphenopalatine or pterygopalatine ganglion. Post-ganglionic parasympathetic fibers will run along with the zygomatic nerve, which is a branch of maxillary nerve, and that zygomatic branch gives two further branches, zygomaticofacial and zygomaticotemporal. So remember, very important it is that through the zygomaticotemporal nerve, these post-ganglionic parasympathetic secretomotor fibers will reach the orbit, and they will join the lacrimal nerve, and then it will reach the lacrimal gland to cause the secretions, to provide the innervate the myoepithelial cells of the lacrimal gland. Then about the secretomotor fibers to the salivary glands, here you can see this course, they will pass out straight here, and Don't forget, not only the lacrimal, but also greater petrosal nerve will innervate the mucosal glands in the palate, in the oral cavity, in the pharynx also. Then remember, that's why it was called a ganglion of hay fever. Then this secretomotor fibers, preganglionic fibers, will also run out through chorda tympani, then joining the lingual nerve, and here it is this submandibular ganglion suspended from the lingual nerve. Through that, the postganglionic fibers, parasympathetic fibers, will innervate the myopithelial cells of the submandibular salivary gland, sublingual salivary gland, anterior and posterior lingual salivary glands. Okay. The important thing is about the clinical aspects. If you have this focus in, grasp this image in your mind, because there are questions asked, especially in your PG entrance and even in your 2019 onwards, in your MBBS first professional exams, MCQs are also there. So they might ask like injury levels, like what will be the damages because of injury level at a particular site. So you have to have this image very much clear in your mind. Now, communications of this facial nerve, those were all the branches which I taught you in the previous slide. Now it's about communications. Look here, this is the internal caustic meatus. The nerves entering here are, this is the vestibular nerve, this is the cochlear nerve reaching to the cochlea, this is the vestibular nerve reaching to the vestibuli and the semicircular canals. This is facial nerve and nervous intermedius, right? And this portion is internal caustic meatus. When they reach to the fundus, they actually dip down. Fundus is actually a little bit below the end of the internal auditory meatus. So there it has a sharp bend, and that is called genu. And at that genu, there is a ganglion. First of all, remember that the two nerves will fuse here. Intermedius will join facial nerve, and this also called as intermediate is also called as nerve of Wisberg. Okay, so this is the geniculate ganglion. Then it will be the first part. This is the first part. This is the second part of the facial nerve. You can see is running here in relation below to the lateral semicircular canal. And there above the promontory will be here something, then it will be the second bend, and this is the third or the straight portion of the facial nerve which will emerge out from the stylomastoid foramen. I believe you have understood the relation. Then branches or communications of the geniculate ganglion. Look here, the yellow color is the branch of geniculate ganglion, and that is the greater superficial petrosal nerve. Remember, because terminology is a little bit different from international editions sometimes. So the greater petrosal nerve is also called superficial petrosal nerve. So better way is calling it greater superficial petrosal nerve, because there's a deep petrosal which is a sympathetic branch from internal carotid plexus. So better way is calling it greater superficial petrosal nerve. Then regarding communications, have you heard about external petrosal nerve? I remember I taught you about the petrosal nerve, that I told you that the sympathetic plexus around middle meningeal artery gives a sympathetic branch to the geniculate ganglion, and that is called external petrosal nerve. So you can see external petrosal nerve also communicating to the geniculate ganglion. And lesser petrosal nerve, remember it was arising from the tympanic plexus, right? It was related to glossopharyngeal. But again, let me tell you that lesser petrosal nerve also has a communication with the geniculate ganglion. Because salivation is really a very complex phenomenon. Similarly, tearing is a very complex, and micturition. Tearing, micturition, salivation is a very complex phenomenon. It's not like when you eat food, you start salivation. It's not the only process. You even start salivation when you see the tasty food. That means it also has to be related to the visual stimulus. You even start salivating when you hear of something tasty things, right? It may have a communication with the auditory stimulus. Then you may even start salivating, like imagining some tasty items. So that means it has a lot of, communications with other centers. So don't go much into it, because these communications, I'm just telling you for your information. Similarly, tearing has also complex phenomenon. This is lesser petrosal nerve, which also communicates with the geniculate ganglion. Okay. Now look, facial nerve के communication important communication है. Can you see this is nerve to stapedius? This is greater petrosal nerve from the geniculate ganglion. This is nerve to stapedius, and this is chorda tympani. Chorda tympani joins the lingual nerve. You all know that. Chorda tympani will also give a communicating branch to the otic ganglion. Can you see here? Communication between otic ganglion and chorda tympani. Okay. So it also has communication with otic ganglion. Then here, look here, this communicating branch. Chorda tympani has a direct communication with the nerve of pterygoid canal, or you can say with the greater petrosal nerve, right? यानी कि ultimately जो mucosal secretions of the front of face and maxillary region है, as well as lacrimal secretions है, उसमें भी chorda tympani communication है. Parotid secretions हैं, क्योंकि otic ganglion के लिए भी communication है, and of course it continues to supply the submandibular and sublingual salivary glands as well. So they have a lot of communication. Actually क्या होता है कि tearing, इसमें इन्हीं वजह से, I'll tell you about, there are different clinical conditions. Ramsay-Hunt syndrome is one. No, Ramsay-Hunt is different thing. Yes, crocodile tear syndrome, one is there. Like when you eat, when you're eating, you're salivating as well as you are tearing at the same time. So because of regenerative injuries, they might have more of communication with other neurons, other nerve pathways. So this phenomena occurs, crocodile tear syndrome, right? So the parasympathetic secretomotor fibers to the salivary gland, they might join the greater petrosal nerve. So the fibers which were meant to, they were destined to innervate the salivary glands here, submandibular, lingual, here in the geniculate ganglion. After an injury, there is, you have been taught about Wallerian degeneration and the nerve regeneration after an injury. So might be after regeneration, these fibers might communicate to the greater petrosal nerve. So you can imagine while you're eating, there is tearing as well. And similar was the Fraze syndrome. If you remember, Fraze syndrome was related to parodactymy में. After removal of parotid gland, what was happening is that the auriculotemporal nerve and great auricular nerve, these fibers were mixing up. So similarly, that was also because of the regeneration and fusion of fibers. Similarly, regeneration of fusion of fibers also leads to crocodile tear syndrome. Take. And can you see the, yes, look here, this is the geniculate ganglion. This is the I was teaching you about the 3 communications to geniculate ganglion. This is the greater superficial petrosal nerve, and this is external petrosal nerve, external superficial petrosal nerve, sympathetic fibers reaching to the geniculate ganglion from the middle plexus around the middle meningeal artery. And look here, what was this? This was lesser petrosal nerve from the tympanic plexus reaching to the otic ganglion. So while in its course, lesser petrosal nerve will also communicate to the geniculate ganglion. Okay? And one communication I told you here also, that chorda tympani in its course will also communicate with otic ganglion. So these are the intercommunication between glossopharyngeal and different branches of facial nerve. And can you see here one another communication I told you before, that facial nerve, that this component was general somatic afferent, right, to the external ear, pinna, that may reach to the pinna directly or through the auricular branch of vagus. So it also has a auricular branch, a communication with the auricular branch of vagus also. Okay. Secretomotor pathway of lacrimation. This is very important. It comes in your exams also. Just have a fast look here. Secretomotor fibers from the lacrimal. For the lacrimal, remember, lacrimatory nucleus is elevated in the lower portion of pons. From there, these preganglionic parasympathetic fibers, they will run along with nervous intermediates in the fundus. This will join the facial nerve and then they'll reach the geniculate ganglion. From the geniculate ganglion, this branch emerges out, is greater petrosal nerve, and this nerve in the foramen lacerum will join the deep petrosal nerve to form the nerve of pterygoid canal, also called Vedian nerve. Then this reaches the pterygopalatine ganglion, where these preganglionic parasympathetic fibers will relay in the pterygopalatine ganglion. After being relayed, the postganglionic parasympathetic secretomotor fibers will run in the maxillary nerve. Then will without being relayed, it will from maxillary it will reach to the zygomatic nerve, and zygomatic nerve, from there it will reach to the zygomaticotemporal nerve. Remember, this is the nerve which pierces the lateral wall of the orbit and reaches to the orbit. So in the orbit, the zygomaticotemporal nerve will communicate to the lacrimal nerve, which is a branch of V1 or ophthalmic division of trigeminal. So zygomaticotemporal nerve joins the lacrimal nerve and will reach to the lacrimal gland to cause secretions of the gland called tearing. Okay, so it is done. I think time is enough.